call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard.
Let's talk first about the 5 factors that can potentially influence a woman's feelings for you on a day-to-day basis. One of the first things that is going to influence a woman's feelings about you on a day-to-day is her interaction and communication. So the quality and nature of interactions and communications between you and her are going to significantly impact her feelings, right? So let's say on date 1, you guys have a great interaction and the communication is just flowing. It's positive, right? She could go from having a low level of feelings to you to like a slightly higher level of feeling. And then on date 2, you guys have another great interaction and communication, and it goes from like that mid-level to like a higher level, right? And then on date 3, let's say in the course of dating, you don't always know what a person's buttons are going to be. So let's say you bring up a topic and it just so happens that it's a sensitive topic for her. Like let's say you're a big fan of dogs and she had a dog like attack her when she was 10 years old, right? So on date 3, you're talking about how much you love dogs and how much you want to eventually get a dog. And you don't yet know that she's not a fan of dogs and she has this phobia of dogs, right? Now, even though you're not doing anything wrong, her feeling can go from like, say, a level 5 for you back down to like a level 3 because you communicated something that she's not sure if she wants in her future. And now it's back down to a 3. Now, this doesn't get you out of the game, but it does take her feelings for you down a notch. And it might be that she now needs a couple more interactions with you to get it back up to that level 5 that she was at before, right? And so this is what I mean in terms of like the sliding scale, because you could be doing everything right on those first couple of dates and it'd be going up and up and up. And then something hits and it goes down just a bit. Not so much that it's at a level 0, but just enough to where it's like today, she's not quite feeling as strong of feelings for you as she felt in those previous days. But then a couple of days from now, you could take her on another couple of dates or take her or give like a really great surprise to her to where, oh crap, and it goes back up. And this is kind of going to be the ebb and flow for those first couple of months. And so this is why after 2 or 3 dates, you can't just assume she's all in on being your girlfriend, because in the beginning, the ebb and flow in the beginning is going to be more so on the lower levels of attraction. And it's only within those 2 or 3 months that she's getting to know you that it's going to be more like this, to where you're going to be able to do less wrong, or when you do stuff wrong, it's going to have a less of an impact on her feelings for you, right? But yes, your interaction and communication with her are one of those things that are going to cause her emotions for you to fluctuate during those first 3 months of dating. And just in life in general, because women's emotions for you are always going to be fluctuating. It's just as she solidifies her feelings, the fluctuation is going to be more like going from a 6 to a 9 versus like a 1 to a 3, you know? Anyway, the second thing that can potentially influence her feelings for you are compatibility and shared interests. So in those first couple of months, for example, that first date, you go out, you're gonna be talking about things, and she's gonna notice, oh, we're compatible in these ways and these ways. This is so great. We have these interests that are the same, whatever. And then come 2 or 3 months in, you find out that you want to go to mostly like R&B concerts, and she likes country music. Uh-oh. We don't have a shared interest. Oh my gosh. And it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it could be a thing. She's like, oh, I really kind of wanted a guy who was going to share that interest. He's not that guy. Well, I mean, he's still cool in other ways, but now that's taken a slight dive in her interest. So, but then the next date you go on, she finds another reason you guys are compatible, but then she learns something that you're not compatible. And so in those first 3 months of dating, that's what's going to happen. You're going to go on dates. You're going to have conversations about things. You're going to maybe have a few arguments here and there about like, well, you're a guy that's always on time for things, and she doesn't mind being fashionably late. That's going to not be compatible. So now there's going to be a day where you guys have a small fight about you wanted to get to the movies on time, and she was like, I can miss the previews, but you want to always see the previews. Now she's starting to feel we're having a little fight about this. My interest is going down in this guy just a bit for today. And I think that's important to note for guys, is that her interest dipping in you could just be for that day. It could very well go up again tomorrow. But I think guys panic because we think, oh my God, she's not having the same level of interest today. It's over, because we're thinking in black and white. You got to think again. You're thinking in a woman's frame of mind with the sliding scale bit. It slid from a 6 today to a 4 tomorrow on tomorrow's outing because you guys had a little tiff about something. And tomorrow it might go back up to a 4.5. And you know what? That's how it's going to be for those first 2 months of dating, where it's like it goes from a 1 to a 4, back down to a 2, maybe up to a 6, then down to a 5 again, then down to a 3 again, then back up to a 6.5. Like that's how her interest is going to be ebbing and flowing during those first few months. All right. But you can't get freaked out by it. You just have to know that that's what it is. All right. The third factor that can potentially influence a woman's feelings on a day-to-day basis is the emotional connection. Now, obviously, emotional connection plays a very critical role in dating for women because they want a guy that's going to be able to empathize, be able to support, and all this stuff. And you know what? That's admirable for you to do. But that also means that in those first 3 months, you're going to be trying to figure out the ways in which she needs you to show up for her emotionally, and you're not going to always get it right. So you might think, for example, like a lot of guys do this. They think, oh man, like I want to show her that I really like her. So I'm going to get her like some flowers or chocolates. And this is like date 3 or 4, right? And I try to stress that in those first 3 months, women don't really need a lot of gifts. In fact, they can feel sometimes that getting a lot of gifts is meaning that you're trying to bribe her into a relationship, right? But you don't know that. So on date 3, you show up with flowers and candy and you can't figure out why she's not reacting as happily as you like her to, right? You're thinking this is going to cause her feelings for me to go up, and instead it kind of brings them down a notch. So let's say on date 3, she goes into it with her interest level at like a 5, right? You show up with flowers and candy and it goes down to a 3 and you don't know why. And you're not aware that her ex used to gaslight her by getting her flowers and chocolate all the time. So that's not a way that she needs for you to show up, but you don't know that. All you know is that she's not feeling as high of interest in you today as she did yesterday. But again, it's a sliding scale. It's not going to stay there. You just know, in the process of learning, you're like, okay, I know now not to show up in this way. And then you listen to her. She's able to see that you hear her when she says, hey, I don't need these things. The next time you see her, you give her a surprise in a way that she actually likes. And now her interest goes back to 6.5, you know? So that's another thing that's going to affect her feelings on the day-to-day. The fourth factor that can potentially influence a woman's feelings about you is personal growth and ambition. Women are often attracted to individuals who are demonstrating things like personal growth, ambition, purpose, and stuff like that, right? So you might be a guy that's on his purpose and you're talking about how, oh yeah, I work at this company and I'm up in the ranks and I'm making this kind of money. And then let's say while you're dating her, like the company goes under, or say you started a business that's starting to make a lot of money and then all of a sudden it kind of goes away a bit. Or say you had a dream to do something and then midway through dating her, you decide you don't want to do that dream, right? And in these cases where your ambition is now cut off or you're saying this isn't working, I want to try something different. Well, she might have been, really enthused that you seem like an ambitious guy. And then something comes up where there's like a chink in the armor or you give up something and she starts to think like, oh my God, is this guy like a guy that's going to give up on everything at the first sign of something? He seemed very committed to this thing. And then all of a sudden he's saying he's not doing it anymore. Is he going to do the same if he commits to me? And now, and again, she's trying to figure all that out. So as she's trying to figure that out, she's going to be having these emotional roller coasters of like, he's showing up this way for me. I like it. He's showing up this way. Now I don't like it. Is this going to be a permanent thing or not? But is this thing that I like over here going to be permanent? I'm not sure. And in the process of that, ebb and flow. It's going to be changing. It's going to be changing. And it's not going to be more solidified until she has more evidence that you are who you say you are and that you really are an ambitious guy. You really are about growth. You're about commitment and stuff like that. And she can see that more after 3 months. In those first couple of weeks, though, it's gonna change because she's gonna be observing different things and making different judgments about things that she then has to have conversations with you about to see if what she's thinking versus what your reality is matching up, And so in the process of that, her feelings are gonna change for you in the course of that. And then the fifth thing that can potentially influence a woman's feelings about you on a day-to-day basis is consistency and reliability, because women are looking for you to be reliable and see if they can trust you, right? And so a lot of the first 3 months is seeing how consistent you are and seeing how reliable you are. And in most days, ideally, you're going to be showing up in a way that lets her know that you're consistent. But hey, there's going to be mistakes made. You're a guy that's always about being on time for dates, and then there's that one day on the way to her where your tire goes flat, or you left the meeting late and you didn't realize that you forgot to call her about you're going to show up late to the date, and you show up, and now she's feeling some kind of way. She's not ready to get rid of you, but she's like, I'm looking for a guy I can depend on, and this guy, it's been a good 3 or 4 dates, but now this 5th date, he's not on time. Is this going to be the real version of him or not? I don't know, but I got to feel it out. I got to have conversations. I got to see what he's really about. And so, but for today, I feel some kind of way about him being late. And now my feelings are going from a 7 to a 4.5. And so I say this because this is the ebb and flow of feelings that women are going to have in those first 3 months that guys oftentimes get thrown off about, you know? And so I don't want you to think that because you got her feelings to a level 5, but that today they're at a level 3, that you're on the way out. It could mean that if you're consistently doing the wrong things, but just understand that in the process of getting to know each other, she's not going to always have the highest of highs of feelings for you. And she shouldn't, because part of her being able to analyze is to be able to, at times, take her emotions out of it and really put on her like looking goggles and say, okay, but what is this? What's really going on here? And in the process of doing that analyzation, that those feelings momentarily might go down a little bit as she's contemplating and thinking and talking to her girlfriends about things and really trying to sit with herself and see what you're about. All right. But you have to let women go through that because they need those 3 months of going through that ebb and flow of emotions to be able to ultimately trust herself that she's making a good decision about you and wanting to be your girlfriend. If you don't allow that to happen, then you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're possibly destroying what could have been a great relationship because you're so focused on you wanting to get her now that you're not realizing that you not getting her now is probably the best way for you to get her later on after she's had the 2 or 3 months to really figure you out, right?
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high